If you're going to have a child, the point of having a child is to raise them to the point where they are a decent human being in society. Not assholes, not the government world throwers. Like, you want them to be independent. Like, that's the whole point of having children, is to raise them so that in society they do something good and they become financially stable to where the point that they can do their own thing and they can make their own dreams. Hi guys, this is SD Traveler coming to tune in for a quick little thought process that I've had. We're going to talk about real quick what it is like, or that decision when you decide to have a child. Normally when you decide to have a child, you then decide to start saving money for them to be able to go to college because you want them to have the best education and the best means to be able to afford that education. When I was born, my dad decided to give me make me a trust fund and put some, I'm not going to tell you how much, but money into my account so that when I turned 21, that money would then be transferred to me and it would be mine to use however I please. And I've known about this since I was a little child, like maybe 5 or 6 years old. I've known that money is in an account separate from my very own, so that when I get old enough, I have a means to be able to support myself. I think this is so important when it comes to having a child, because you're making that offhand decision for them to be an adult and for them to have a way to support themselves in some way, instead of just throwing them out into the world and going, here you go, like, this is your big chance. Let's show everybody in the world what it is to be an adult. If I didn't have that money in my account, I don't know what I would do to be able to support myself. I've had this plan where I don't want to go to college because I find college to be a waste of my time and money. What I want to do doesn't require a degree. So what's the point in me going to college to get a degree that I will never use and spending $20,000 to $40,000 a year, where I'll probably end up in debt and I'll have to pay it off for the rest of my life? I don't want that. So my dad has known how I'm going to spend my money when I get that money in my name when I turn 21. He knows that I'm going to do whatever I feel like doing because I'm an adult and I can make my own decision. And I met somebody when we were on vacation a couple of weeks ago that is a friend of my dad's, and I think she's a very interesting person. But I disagree with the way that she is thinking about money and the way that she's thinking about her kids' money and what she did when, what she's going to do when her kids decide to go to college. Once your child turns 18, they are no longer a child. They are an adult. And that is just how the world works. 1 minute you're a child, the next minute you are an adult. The second you turn 18, everything is your decision. You have no reign over what that child does anymore, because that child has now become, by law, an adult. When I turned 18, everything was out the window. Everything. Like, the minute I turned 18, I was an adult and I had my own free will, my own power to make any decision on what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do things, where I wanted to spend my money, and how that was going to work. And I had to figure that out. Now, I'm lucky. Most of my life, it's been ingrained in my brain about the way society works, how you have to earn money, what you spend your money on, what bills are, and eventually I'm going to have to move out and be on my own. I have a very supportive dad who has decided that if I run out of money and I become broke, I have a place to go back to. I have a roof over my head. I had someone who's willing to support me and feed me, but I want to take that chance when I turn 21 to finally step out of my comfort zone and to do what I want to do and go see the world. And I have the means and the money to do that. It's being a successful human being is what it comes down to when being raised. If your parent decided to smother you and to give you every single thing that you've ever wanted in your life, then you don't know what it's like to earn your own money and to have to spend that money on expensive things. And then you have to pay for bills. And there are a majority of kids around here that are spoiled because they have a rich lifestyle. But the thing is that money isn't theirs. That's their parents. So when I met up with this friend, we were sitting around the campfire and she was talking about her kids, and one of her children was about to be 18, and she was very unsure about what was going to happen, with her eldest child when they became of age, and she wanted them to go to college, and she earned all of this money. It was her hard work. So in her head, that money was hers. That's not how parenting works. You can't prevent everybody from doing what they want to do with the money that you gave them. Like, you can't put a full stop sign, like, right in front of it right then and there. And everyone has a different parenting style. I'm not saying that everybody has to raise their child the way that my dad raised me. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, the more you spoil your children, the more likely they are to spend the money that you give them haphazardly. And if you prevent them from learning, then it makes it even worse, because you'll never have them learn that experience. You will never have them know what it's like to face their own consequences to their actions. And you can't say yes to everything. You have to learn to say no. If you don't learn to say no, then your child will become very independent on you and will literally use you to the point where you just have nothing left. And then eventually you do have to say no. And then when you do say no, it becomes chaos. And you guys start fighting and you feel like you're a terrible parent because you didn't say yes right away. And people need to know that it's okay to say no. You can't say yes to everything. You can dream to say yes to everything. That's okay. But you have to learn to say no. So, for me, I am so happy that I have been raised the way I have been, because I have such an independent mind, and I might not have moved out yet, but for my 21st birthday, it's going to happen. And I know what I'm going to do with that money. I've already been, for the past 3-4 years that I've been working, I've been saving $100 every time I get a paycheck into my savings account. So I have money. I know how to save. I know how to spend correctly. And I know what it means to pay for bills. And I know how to take care of myself. And that's what matters. If you're going to have a child, the point of having a child is to raise them to the point where they are a decent human being in society. Not assholes, not the government world throwers. Like, you want them to be independent. Like, that's the whole point of having children, is to raise them so that in society they do something good and they become financially stable to where the point that they can do their own thing and they can make their own dreams. And hopefully in the process, as their parent, they will have enough money to eventually be able to help you when you get old. Like, that's what you want. So I think there's a balance between a healthy relationship with a parent and child and an unhealthy relationship. The more you smother them, the more likely they are to turn into assholes. And maybe you were one of those parents who got very lucky where you did smother them and you gave them everything and they became amazing people and they ended up doing amazing things in their life. Then good for you. Props to you. You did it just well enough to where they are able to independently sustain themselves. And I think that's great. Whoever has done that in the world, good for you. You've done it right. But I think that the more you smother, the more, like, the higher the percentage it is that your child's going to be an asshole. So just be aware that when you decide to have that child, in my experience, it is so much nicer to know when you are growing up that you have money in an account somewhere that you can't access until you're 21, okay, and you can't do anything with that money to a certain degree until you between the ages of 18 to 21. You can have that money transferred bit by bit. But when you turn 21, all of it gets transferred into your account. It is so nice to know growing up that you have that money and that it's there and that you won't be a broke little new adult in the world running around wondering what you're going to do, like how you're going to sustain yourself and where you're going to get that money. And it taught me that I had to start saving right away. Like, there was no joking around when it came to this stuff. And it was ingrained in my brain about society, how things work, bills, and things like that. And I've grown up with it. And yeah, it made me a little bit more independent. And yes, it made me have the ability to think for myself and what I want to do. And yeah, I'm not going to go to college because I think it's a waste of time. I don't want to go to college. I want to see the world. And everyone has different ideas of what they would do with that money, but just be responsible. Think about what you're doing when you have a child and how you want them to live their life. And I hope that this was in some way helpful because I have so many opinions on this stuff. And when I got asked about it, I just couldn't keep my mouth shut. There is going to be a blog post down below in this video where you can click the link to the description of my blog where I actually made a blog post about this. Woo! 2 things at once. Mind blown. So, I'm sorry this is a little on the longer side, but I've been thinking about it for weeks and I needed to get it off my chest and I feel so much better. I'm SD Traveler. I do all different kinds of things from traveling to making playthroughs to talking about my life. And it's been great having this conversation and putting this out there for y'all. Have a wonderful day and let's change the world bit by bit, guys. See you in the next one.